Fit Pros, welcome back to the DTF podcast, Down to Fitness, where we turn personal trainers into fitness professionals. We are your hosts, Dayton McPherson and Kyle Radune. What's up, everybody? Nice to see everyone again. On today's episode, we will be talking about when it's time to fire a client. And just a little disclaimer, this isn't going to be a super negative episode. What we more want to talk about is making sure that we have people in our schedules that actually want to be helped. We want to help them. And, as much as we want to help everybody, sometimes we kind of have to let them go for tons of reasons. And we're going to go over some of those reasons why it might be time to pass them off to another client or just stop training them altogether. So as much as we are going to have fun with this one, we also want to turn it into a positive thing for all of the personal trainers' well-being out there, so you don't burn out, which is super common in our industry. So what's going on, Kyle? Good to see you again, brother.
Hey. Yeah, I think this episode's important because the title's very clickbaity. Did that on purpose because you read it and you go, oh my God, firing clients, right? We're here to help you build your business and grow your brand. And then when you see an episode like fire a client, it's like, well, that sounds like you're kind of going in the wrong direction. Maybe it comes off a little negative, like you said there. But what we actually learn long term is that when you hang on to maybe a toxic client or someone that takes a lot out of you or takes away from you or doesn't actually respect you, your time, some of those things that we can go into, you become a lesser of a trainer. And then, maybe even that person ends up not getting the results. They don't have a good time. So now they're not someone that's going to go out in the community and kind of be your raving fan and tell everyone, hey, you got to go train with Kyle. You got to go train with Dayton. No, so they're not going to build your business. They're not going to help you out long term. They take a lot away from you. So sometimes it is, there are situations where maybe getting rid of one client opens up an opportunity to grow 2, 3, 4 clients that you really look forward to being around. And you will be a better trainer if you're excited to come to work and see these people. Like, do you have any stories you can come up with? Because I know just when we said the episode title, I thought about 3 or 4. But do you have anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. So before I dive into a story, I want to say Kyle's completely right. Like, these people suck the life out of you. We like to call them vampires. All right. They will pull out your energy and just drain your life source. And when you train these people, you don't look forward to it all day long. And you have anxiety up until their session. And when their session is done, you feel like just this weight is lifted off of you. And we don't want to do that in an industry where we're meeting people for 20 to 40 hours per week. So my story is that we've talked about this in our previous episode, that I have one rule. I have a 7 to 7 rule. My clients and even my staff, they can only message me between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on my personal cell phone. You can email me at any time because I don't check my email usually after 7 o'clock. Anyways, I'll do it when I get in the next morning. But I had this one person years and years ago who would consistently text and call me after that 7 p.m. Sometimes it was at 11 o'clock at night. Sometimes it was at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I can't make tomorrow's session, so on and so forth. And her and I had the conversation about, hey, I'm not readily available 24/7 to, talk to you. And I need a little break. It's not good for me just to be on all the time, because even if I don't respond to the message, now this individual has me thinking about work. Regardless of what time it is, I don't want to think about work all the time. I am a person outside of being a personal trainer, and I want to do stuff for me too. So even after having the conversation multiple times about not messaging me outside of those times, she still continued to do it. And I just had a very casual conversation with her that I wasn't the right person to fit her needs, and she needed someone that was going to be a little bit more attentive. And I actually passed her off to a tier 1 trainer, because usually tier 1 trainers are newer coaches. They come in and they're all gung ho, and passed her off. And I mean, they still train together right now. Yeah. Are you working with a lesser trainer with less education and less experience? That wasn't important to her. What was important to her was that someone was going to text her right back. And that's not me. And I'm not doing that because I want to not think about work all the time. So it happens. And you just have to be honest with people. Sometimes the relationship isn't right. I mean, we got along great. She was wonderful, came on time, all those good things, but I just can't deal with that. I have one rule and you can't follow my one rule, and my rules are not meant to be broken. Just ask any of my staff, clients, team members, they know rules are rules.
And Dayton holds that rule to everyone. You better believe if I text him after 7 o'clock, it better be for a fun, casual, personal, social conversation. It better not be about what tomorrow's episode is going to be.
That's right.
It better not be about what we did for work or how was your sales or what was your opening. Like, no.
Yep.
We don't even talk business outside of that 7 to 7 because it is so important that we separate our personal and business lives for sure.
So let's jump into a couple of the kind of tidbits and topics that we think are important for coaches to consider maybe when it's time to move on from a coach. And the first one that's really important to me is we are the fitness professionals. We are the experts. So almost 90% of the time, what we say goes. We have you do something specific for specific reasons, and we don't want you to give us pushback, whether that be, oh, I don't want to do this, like that's too hard, so on and so forth. The only time that you can give me pushback is if you feel something hurt. Hurt is different than hard for me. All right. So if you're consistently saying all of those things, like, why are you even listening to me? Why do you want to be here?
Do you ever have a client that's like, I won't squat, or like a movement that like I would say to me a squat's like a non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say squat, right, all regressions and progressions. So sit to stand, whatever. If you are a human and you poop, you have to be able to sit down and stand back up. So like for me, that's a non-negotiable. If you ever have a client that like you just say like, hey, we have to squat. We're doing 10 sit to stands, 10 squats, and they're just like, I don't like squats.
Yeah. So I feel like I set the expectation really well during the consultation that these are the things that we're going to be working on. If I tell you those things and you're like, yeah, I don't want to do those, I don't want to work with you anyways. So every single week, all of my clients will squat and deadlift. Those are my two big ones that I do. I don't do a lot of benching with people. We will do those two movements every single week. And I do get a lot of the times that people are like, well, that hurts when I do that. Well, it hurts because you're not doing it right. And we can figure out a way to make sure that you are doing it correctly, but you got to do those things because to me, in my training philosophies, those are the two most important exercises and lifts. And if you don't want to do those, you got to go work with somebody else because you're not changing my exercise philosophies. And I love the people that come in and they're like, oh, my doctor told me not to squat, not to deadlift. And it's like, oh, I forgot.
Get a new doctor.
Yeah, get a new doctor. And I'm sure when he's outside chain smoking, not exercising, and all of his hypertension, that he knows what he's talking about when it comes to exercise. That's a different episode. I'm not even going to jump into that type of stuff. But yeah, you have to listen to us and you have to trust us too. And that comes into the building rapport. And if you don't trust the person that you're spending $100 an hour for, then what the hell's the point?
Yeah, I always find that funny is that you go through this assessment, you build up, what they want to do. You get them to buy into the program. They commit and they quote unquote trust the process. Even though I hate that saying, I say it a lot.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like trust the process, and now we get into the first workout and now you're like, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't like that. No, I don't like it. Well, what are we doing here?
Right.
If you wanted to be the one in charge of your workout and do the things that you wanted to do, and you wanted to stand around and do bicep curls and planks or some Instagram exercise you saw on the internet, then you know what? Then I'm not the trainer for you, right?
Hard things make hard people. So we do hard things, so you're harder to kill, right? You've heard that before. Strong people are harder to kill. All right. Same thing with us. We challenge you for specific reasons, not because we want to torture you. And yeah, some of my clients probably will say like I'm mean. Oh, Dayton's feeling mean today. No, we just did a hard workout because for the last couple of weeks we've been not doing hard workouts, and I'm going to push you today. And if you don't want to be pushed, again, I'm not the right person for you. And talking about pushing, let's talk about people getting results.
Well, so that's the segue I was going to use too, was now the reason why we're harping on this is that, you know what, if you want to pay me $100 an hour to come in and tell me what to do, then like, that's fine if you're just into taking some money. And honestly, I don't even see a problem with that morally, because if they fired you, would they hire another trainer and keep showing up to the gym? Maybe not. Yeah. So maybe, they won't squat. So I do have them do leg extensions, hamstring curls, calf raises, machine hip thrusts or whatever, adduction, abduction machine. And I can do all those things to replace a squat if I have to.
Yep.
So it's like I can still get them better results than if they didn't, or, help them move. But
it may not be the results that they're looking for.
Well, so this is where kind of where I'm going with this is, for me personally, is if I'm spending all this time and energy on you as a client, I do not only want to help you, but I'm also still trying to build my business for the long term. Now, every client I have in front of me, I'm really hoping that I'm turning this client into 2, 3, 4, 5 clients. I want to show them such a good experience that they tell 5 of their friends. If I attach myself to a client that doesn't like my philosophy or doesn't like the way I do things, they're only going to attract more clients that don't fit the way I like to train or fit my book. So I'm going to start building a business around people that I don't want to be around. Yeah. So if you start out like that, you're better off letting that person go be with a trainer that they can enjoy being with, so that you can show a client real results that will go out and become your raving fan and preach your name in the streets to all their friends, to everyone that's willing to listen, because your business will grow tenfold if you really commit to that kind of person.
Yeah, my people that I've had in the past that have seen those really good results, those are the individuals that will give you referrals and they'll stay for a really long time because they have seen those results. The people that aren't committed to the program, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, they show up late, they're always hurt or injured, or their life is in shambles. Like, those people are never going to see results, and they're probably not going to stay with you long term, and they're probably not going to recommend any referrals to you. So at that point,
and sometimes a bad review. You could be the best trainer in the world, and we know that person should be squatting. And if I say, hey, listen, it is best for you to be squatting, well, that doesn't actually even though I'm right, that doesn't necessarily mean that the client feels that my explanation made them wrong. They're still going to go on to Google reviews and be like, 1 star, I hated my experience with this trainer, period.
Didn't
and now the internet, when the internet looks at you and they say 1 star, oh, this person didn't like this trainer. Well, you're going to lose business. It's going to hurt your business in the long term because they're not your raving fan. Right.
And talking about raving fans, on the flip side of that, when you said that they'll go on and say a bad review, let's talk about them blaming us for things that happen to them. So one of my biggest pet peeves is when people blame me after their sessions, how they felt. And they're like, oh, well, my knees were killing me after my session. And I just want to be like, okay, so what did you do from the last time that I saw you a week ago until now? Oh, I didn't do anything. What do you mean you didn't do anything? That's crazy.
Right? Like, so you worked out and then you just sat on the couch, did nothing, didn't go for a walk. And then you're like, oh, I was so sore. It was so stiff. I hurt. It's like, I told you to go for a walk. I told you to go for a walk, active recovery. I didn't want you to get sore. I told you you'd be sore. And I told you that when you got sore, I wanted you to get up off the couch and I wanted you to walk. And then they didn't. And then they come back and they say,
you hurt me.
No, I was too sore to walk.
You hurt me.
I explained to you how that was going to make it hurt less. And you just don't listen.
Right.
So now the anger started to boil inside my blood here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, or blaming us for the weight loss that they're not seeing. And I'm straightforward with people with this. It's like, you see me twice a week for an hour. What are you doing the other 98% of your week to ensure your results? We've already talked about nutrition. We've already talked about the supplementation that you should be doing. We've already talked about the accessory things, going for those walks, coming in twice a week. You're not holding up your end of the bargain. So unless that you want to pay me $100 an hour for 24 hours a week, then you can't blame me for the results that you're not seeing, because I'm seeing you in a micro fraction for the amount of time that you're actually here. All right. Yes. So I get frustrated with that because it's not my fault. I have provided you the education and the tools to success. You are choosing not to use those tools. It's just like when Kyle and I would go to Health Tracks University and we would do the workshop and we would give everybody the tools to be successful. And then we would hear stories about trainers and be like, well, I don't have enough clients. I don't have this. Did you use the tools? If you use the tools, you would have a lot of clients. If you didn't use the tools, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, we have all the information for you, and you just accept the lazy factor. You're going for the path of least resistance. Do the least amount of work, you get the least amount of results.
Yeah, no, it's funny when you give people the tools and they still don't want to use them. It's like, handing someone a screwdriver and they just want to use their fingers to put in the screw. Like I made it so easy for you, and here you are trying with your fingernail and the little screw thing trying to tighten it down when the screwdriver
use the screwdriver.
Like,
funny.
Or the dig a hole with a spoon instead of a backhoe. Like, I know you can get it done, but like it could be a lot easier.
But why? That's good.
So I did want to give a little disclaimer there as well, because a really good trainer can get you to buy in and change your behaviors outside of our sessions. So some of the best trainers in the world are what they can get their clients to do behaviorally when they're not in front of them. And I think this is really what separates great trainers from okay trainers. An okay trainer can have the best program, they can have the best workout, they can close, they can have a big book of business, but kind of like what you said there is they get a little bit of results, but they really don't fundamentally change their lives. So now if you want to be the best trainer in the world, that trainer that everyone has to come to, the one that has the wait list, you're the one that can actually get someone to change their life fundamentally through all the other days.
Yep.
So through education and buy-in. Now that's where we've talked about this in the past, where we're trying to get you those small wins over time, because if I can get you to start, I'm not going to get you to change your life completely in the first 30 days, but maybe I can get you to start drinking an extra glass of water 3 times a day. And now maybe after a few weeks, I got you to do the water, and now it's, we're going to take out soda, or we're going to add in something else to help benefit them. And over time, we can change their behaviors if you're really good. But I'll tell you right now, as much as we can sit here and say Dayton and I are the best trainers in the world, we still are only getting 10 to 20% of those people to do that. And that's really good in our industry.
Oh yeah.
So I want to say no, it's not impossible. And if you're good, these things will happen. It's not like we're saying that they can't. But what you have to identify is you can get someone as far as you can, and some percentage will take it all the way. And we'll tell you that it's always your fault as the trainer. But in this episode, this is the one time we're going to say it's really probably not your fault.
Yeah, it's not your fault. And you can always flip that conversation around if somebody's never lost a single pound and they feel like they look exactly the same. I always talk about, how do you feel? Do you feel a little bit better than when you used to? Your knees don't hurt anymore, right? Well, that's another good thing too. Would you say that your mood is increased? Do you have more energy? Everybody always tends to focus just on the number on the scale, but what are the other things that we've done too? So it's not that as coaches, we do nothing for these people, but in our day and age, everybody's just focused on that scale. Well, let's focus on the other stuff too. Mental health. Can you walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded? And the answer will always be no, because Kyle and I have been exercising for so long and I still get winded going up the stairs, but that's neither here nor there. So there are lots of things that we do.
And that's the CrossFitter talking, by the way.
Yeah. I still get winded. But there's lots of things that we can do besides change a number on a scale. So if you have somebody that is thinking about quitting training on you and they're blaming you because they haven't seen any results, well, results aren't this small thing. It's really wide range. So focus on the wide range things instead of them blaming you for not seeing results. Can we talk about scheduling?
Yes.
This is probably one of my biggest things that I want to get rid of people. So there's a couple of different topics that I want to talk about in terms of scheduling clients. So one of the rules that I have is you have to train at the same day and the same time every single week for consistency. That's with working with me. You are not going to be a mover and shaker where it's after your session. Oh, what days and times work best for you next week? Oh, I can see you at 10 a.m. next Tuesday. Oh, that doesn't work for me. You have to commit to a same day and same time, because those people are going to put it in their schedule, just like going to a doctor's office or showing up to work. So if you have people that move around in your schedule all the time, how frustrating is that as a coach, that you've got to take the last 5 minutes of their session to figure out times, and then they're like, oh, nothing works next week. Okay, I guess I'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Nope.
That's not beneficial. Number one, for you as a coach in your bank account. Like, I know that coaches hate talking about money, but come on, you do this for a job. Don't you want to make money doing it? And then
you won't do it very long if you don't focus on money.
No. I love coaches that are like, oh, if I didn't get paid for this, I would still do it. That's bullshit. All right.
Well, I mean, hold on. I would say I would, because I'd be bored as all hell, rich, and I would probably want to help people. But that's the only time it works.
Right.
I can't
but you
help
said
people
rich.
if I can't pay my bills.
Right. You said rich. If you were rich, that might be different. I'm talking about like today's day and age with our bank accounts right now. No, we'd still have to work. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't have time to
Okay.
help you
All right.
because I'd be
All right.
out,
Working.
doing Uber or something,
So that's my first thing with schedules. Try to get people on the same day and same time. It's just going to make them stay more consistent and their renewals will be a little bit better. The other thing that drives me up a wall is clients that show up late all the time. All the time. I have one client in particular shows up 15 minutes late every single session, twice a week, 15 minutes late. So one time I did out the math for this individual. He's trained 500 hours of personal training. Okay. And then I multiplied 500 hours by minimally 10 minutes. And then I showed him how much money that he's lost by not coming to his sessions on time. And it was tens of thousands of dollars. It was outrageous. He still shows up late, but neither here nor there. That drives me insane because those are the same people that will also complain about not seeing results. And it's like, same thing. You can do it with time. So every single week, you're missing out 20 minutes of your workout. Multiply that by 3. Now you're missing an hour every 3 weeks. Multiply it by 52, whatever. Like that's a lot of time that you're not exercising. So for me, you got to show up not on time. You show up early. If you've ever heard the saying, to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. To be late is to be forgotten. And if you constantly show up late, your trainers will forget about you. Mm-hmm. Same thing with you coaches out there too. Don't show up late to your sessions because
I was going to say,
your clients won't like that very much.
Yeah, because I'm sure we could probably spin this episode to why your client fired you. And we could probably say all the exact same things back to you, because I'll tell you right now, while we're on this whole like fire the client thing, I want everyone to look in the mirror while they're judging their clients, because if you have been late for their sessions, do not make a comment about them not being on time. Yeah. If you reschedule all the time or you cancel because it's Friday afternoon and you don't feel like coming back for your second session of the day, let me tell you, you're the problem.
So I have one personal training client at 4:00 on Fridays at my facility. I usually am somewhere else at one of the other centers. I drive all the way there for that 1 hour and then go home because that's this person's day and time. Do I want to drive an hour to go down there? No, but that's when I have to. And they've been training with me for a long time. So I am consistent with my people too. And that's a really good point, Kyle. All the things that we're talking about here, if you're doing these things, that's why nobody is renewing their programs with you. That's probably why they're not seeing results. You don't cancel on them. You don't show up late. I'm always 15 to 30 minutes early for every single session that I'm doing. I show up early. I get into that mindset. I walk in, my personal training shirt is on, I'm not wearing a hat. I always wear a hat, but not when I'm at work. And, that's also professionalism. You should be there before your client. Always.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the one last thing that I can think of, I don't know if you have any other one, while we're kind of harping on the clients, I was going to take a little shift, but go ahead if you have another
I just got one more about schedule. If you have clients that go on vacation a lot, it might be time to move away from those people too, because when they go on vacation, they're like, oh, I walked a lot. Okay, that's not exercise. And I have this conversation with people all the time. If you've been training with me for 10 years and you just told me that you walked a lot on vacation, you probably lost some gains in there a little bit. So, and they're like, oh, well, I worked out on my own. Okay, well, you work with me and I have to correct every single thing that you do. So I know that you weren't working out correctly on your own too. But also if you have those people that are same day and same time, they go away on vacation every month for 2 weeks because they get a house on the, Cape or in the Berkshires or something. Well, now you're missing out on 2 weeks of training them. So they're not getting better. You're missing out on 2 weeks of pay from them. And you can't fill those spots with other people either. Like, unless you get another client that's going to be more consistent and you can get rid of those people too.
Yeah, I think the planned trips are hard because, if you are really strong on your cancellation policy, people
hours.
can just lose sessions like that. But with planned vacations, it's tough because they're telling you 6 weeks in advance, like, hey, I'm going to be gone. So what you're trying to do is typically I'm trying to front load some sessions before they go away.
Right.
I'm trying to get in a couple extra sessions when they get back to make sure they got the amount of sessions that they were due.
Right.
But that blows up your schedule. Every time a client goes away, I have a rough week before and after. And yeah, I have a little bit of a lighter schedule, but my other clients aren't on vacation. So it's not like I got the vacation, but I'm getting beaten up by doubling up on all my sessions here and there. And it takes a lot out of you. And if you have 20 clients and one goes away every month, this is what you're dealing with. So these are things that, manage that for sure.
And on the flip side of that, coaches, you guys are allowed to go on vacation too. All right. Just the way that Kyle and I are allowed to go on vacations. If you ever have a client tell you, oh, you're going away on vacation, what am I going to do for a week? Time to let that person go. Because again, they want you to be available all the time. I deserve a break just as much as my client deserves a break. I don't complain to you when you go on vacation and I don't get paid for it. So why are you complaining that I want to go to, I don't know, Thailand for 2 weeks and go do this and go do that? That's not fair. You're making me feel bad for taking time for myself. That's not okay to me. And if you do that, it's like, get rid of that person. They don't care about you. It's a rapport. It's a relationship.
I would say the respect goes both ways.
Correct.
And if you actually looked at their client and you said, hey, if your boss told you that you weren't allowed to do X, Y, Z, they'd be pissed, right? So it's like, but they do that to you every single time.
Yeah.
No, the flip side I was going to take here is trainers are also, it's important that we don't just fire clients for those negative things like, oh, they're bad people. They don't do this. They don't do that. Sometimes I actually think that trainers need to recognize when it's time to fire a client when they just aren't the right trainer for them. I see a lot of trainers, especially in like the big box, when you have a dozen trainers on your staff, there's thousands of members. One person just happens to be the person that catches you in the hallway, sets up for some training. You get a few weeks in and you realize that, their goals are not your specialty. Maybe you've never worked with a weight loss client and they're trying to lose 100 pounds, but another trainer on your staff specializes in 100-pound, obesity and behaviors and things like that. You have to acknowledge that if you want to really, truly help people, you have to fire that client in the sense that I'm not the right trainer for you. Let's hook you up with the right person. So all this bad stuff, you have to remember that, you aren't the best trainer for everyone. So sometimes you have to acknowledge that breakup is necessary.
Yeah. And always try to pass them off to somebody that you can recommend for them. It's just not let them go and see you later, especially if they were a great client, great individual. Maybe your expertise isn't on rehab, prehab, weight loss, strength training, whatever that it might be. It's the same thing with, doctors. They recommend specialists for you to go see because that's not their specialty. We all have different specialties, and it's important to recognize that for yourself and what your expertise is. And if it's not with them, give them to somebody else. Hopefully they'll see results with them. And I have done that before. Maybe I was training this person for years and something happened and I was like, I don't know what to do with this. You're going to go see this person. And it's worked out really well. I had a client who had a really, really bad back, like horrible. I tried everything that I could do with her. I said, I want you to go work with this other coach. It's not because I don't like working with you. I think that he would be able to help you a little bit more. No back issues for the last year and a half. And guess what? I don't take any offense to that. That was the better coach for that particular person. And if our true goal is to help people, I just helped her.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
All right. With that, when to fire a client for good or for worse. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.